Hello, welcome back to Move Ahead with Dalia. Did you know that staging your home can improve your chances of selling it faster and for more money? On today's podcast, my guest is Seth Williams. He's the owner of Interior Drama Home Staging, and we are going to talk about the cost of staging, what rooms are best to stage, and why home staging is such a valuable tool for homeowners. Take a listen. Hi, Seth.
Hey, Dalia.
Thank you for joining me today for the podcast.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
How are you?
Excellent. How are you doing?
I'm doing great. Let's talk about interior drama. Tell me what you'd like to share about it.
Sure. So Interior Drama, we are a home staging business here in Chicago, and we work primarily with realtors, some investors, some developers.
Okay.
Whenever they have a listing or a property that they're putting on the market and it's vacant, we will come in with furniture, artwork, accessories, area rugs, and really just spice it up to make sure that we broaden the pool of potential buyers and maximize the price of the property.
Awesome. I love that. So it seems to me you've had the business for a few years now. Tell me a little bit about that. Where did you start in this business, or how long have you had it?
Sure. So I took over this business about 3.5 years ago. We've been around since, I think, 2002. So it's our claim to fame. We're the second staging company in Chicago.
Nice.
And I took over a few years ago from the founder, and I've just been focused on marketing and sales and really developing relationships with our customers to make sure that we provide, the best staging we possibly can and really help realtors maximize the sales prices on their properties so they get more referrals, higher commissions. That's the goal.
That's awesome. So the website is idhomestaging.com, right?
Yeah.
And your site notes the steps for staging a home. Can you share that?
Sure. So what we do is it's kind of our process, at least how we do business. And the beginning of the process, we can either get a realtor or whomever is interested a quote via just old listing photos.
Okay.
So a floor plan's always good, but we can put together a proposal with firm pricing based on that. At which point, if the customer wants to move forward, we can schedule staging, and that is when we would come in with the installation. We own our own box truck. We own our own furniture as well, so we're not out renting it. And that allows us just to be flexible and quick turnaround times for customers to deliver the staging before photos usually.
Okay. Okay, awesome. Well, what is the cost for staging? Is that something that's based on like the square footage? How is that figured out?
Yeah, that's a great question. So it's in theory square footage. We price it by room. So if you have a mansion, for example, you probably aren't going to want to stage the entire property.
Okay.
A good example, what we do is a lot of 2-bedroom condos here in Chicago.
Yes.
So if it's 1,200 to 1,400 square foot condo, to stage the entire place is about $2,500 to $3,000, and that's good for up to 90 days. So if a customer, gets an offer and it falls through, or it allows really the whole transaction process to get from, the beginning to the offer accepted, attorney review, to closing. So that's the only fee they pay is the goal. And if they need it beyond the 90 days, then it would revert to a monthly fee. And that's kind of how we set up our pricing. But going back to the mansion example, or just even a big single family house, I always say that the rooms that generate the highest ROI are the living room, dining room, kitchen, and then the primary bedroom. Those are the kind of the main focal points of the home.
Okay. Yeah, that was one of my questions. Which are the rooms that you would focus on the most? So, as realtors, you are a realtor as well.
Yeah.
When we are showing the property to our clients, of course, we typically walk into a living room, definitely a primary space to stage. You said the dining room, master bedroom, kitchen, right?
Yeah.
Those were some of the ones you mentioned.
Yeah, absolutely. And another one to note as well is a home office. I think since COVID, there's so many folks working from home that sometimes you have the dual income household where they're both working from home these days. And so that's kind of the first thing some of them are looking for is, well, can we live here and work from here? So it's always good to show a desk somewhere, even in what we call like the flex space. So just throw a desk like on a wall in the living room, something like that.
Yeah, I like that idea. And what about outdoor space?
Outdoor space, I'll be frank, I think that I generally think it looks better empty, but there are times when we'll do, if it's a really, grandiose rooftop, that will come in with all of the patio furniture. But typically I'm always transparent with my customers, and it's like, here is the highest return you're going to get on the money that you pay for staging. So you can go with patio furniture. I think unless it's a luxury space, that typically it's probably best to just keep it vacant.
Yeah, I see that as well. Good point. Well, I always recommend to my homeowners to, of course, like declutter, right?
Yeah.
The even from like things like removing knickknacks or things that if there's an old couch that doesn't look very appealing.
Yeah.
I'll bring that up to them. Doesn't always help.
Right.
But it helps to tell them. It doesn't mean they're going to do it. So I know that, there's sometimes very simple things that the homeowner can do.
Yeah.
Like I said, decluttering, moving furniture around, painting is always a very helpful way of bringing out some light into the home.
Sure.
Do you guys recommend that as well in terms of like what paint colors or things like that? Is that something you suggest?
Yeah. There's two that come off, or one that comes off the top of my head. It's Sherwin-Williams 1464 light pewter. And it's really kind of off-white looks. That seems to be trending these days. A lot of folks are still in the gray mode, and I think I would not recommend gray. I think it's a little bit in the past, especially gray on gray. You don't want gray paint on gray furniture, on gray bedding. So we recommend just the off-white colors, and decluttering is kind of the most important. It's like before you even think about staging, to be frank, you got to declutter a lot of stuff. And that's where we come in a lot of times. Is sometimes the realtor has a tough dialogue with the homeowner, because the homeowners get really emotional.
Yes.
And it always helps to have a third party to come in and be the bad guy or the bad cop. And we do a really good job at that. Like, hey, here, your goal is to maximize the price. So you got to get rid of, you got to depersonalize.
Right, the family photos.
Yeah, exactly. Clear out your closet. It's not summer anymore, stuff like that.
Yeah, I've seen scenarios where, I'm working with buyers and I'm showing them properties, maybe even 2 condos in the same building.
Yeah.
And the one that's staged has multiple offers and the one that's not staged is sitting on the market.
Right.
And they're very similar. Top floors, everything, except one is staged.
Yeah. I mean, if you compare a property that's staged well versus one where the homeowner did not make any updates at all and it kind of is a sloppy listing, there's a pretty remarkable difference in just the psychology of the buyers when they go into the home. So they're going to leave remembering there was a plate out. That wasn't my plate. I can't see myself living here because it's still clearly their property. But a staged property, it depersonalizes everything. So it tries to broaden the pool of potential buyers. And so we use neutral colors. And so we're not trying to target one particular audience. It's really, let's get the demand on this property as high as possible.
Okay. So in terms of visualizing, right, when we're walking our buyer through the property, sometimes they're vacant homes.
Yeah.
I'm assuming vacant, of course, would be easier to stage, right? Because you're just bringing in furniture.
Right.
But do you also, if the homeowner lives there and they have a lot of furniture, does the homeowner move everything out and you bring in your stuff, or how does that work?
Yeah, that's a good question. We do, so you have vacant staging and then you have occupied staging or partial. Okay. So partial is maybe if they've moved out and they left some stuff. Occupied is when they're still living there.
Right.
And what we'll do is come in and provide recommendations on what they can reasonably declutter. because obviously you can't have them, you can't tell the seller, you got to move everything out of here. We're going to stage it. So we give them, a reasonable list of what to do, primarily decluttering, maybe getting rid of unnecessary furniture that's cluttering the room. And then we'll bring in certain items that, match their aesthetic, but more so on the accessories and artwork, and just try and, create a pretty cohesive aesthetic. Mm-hmm. So that's generally the goal. And moving their furniture around, because sometimes it's placed in awkward spaces. Mm-hmm. So we want it just to be as functional as possible.
Yeah, so that makes sense if we want to set up some space for, like you said, putting a desk to mm-hmm. make that corner look more functional.
Right.
Right?
Yeah.
So move furniture out or move it around mm-hmm. and leave that space open for the desk that you can bring in.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's great. So I know on your website, mm-hmm. it's idhomestaging.com. A lot of great information. I read some of the blogs. And you also mentioned your staff there. Tell me about your staff.
Sure. So I primarily focus on operations. So I'm doing proposals, but more so the sales and marketing of the business. And our staff is fantastic. Right now we have Irvana. She's our lead stager, and she comes from owning her own staging business and working on the higher luxury end properties. So she has an incredible eye for design. Also understanding what a customer is looking for, if they have specific wants or needs for how they would like the property to turn out. A customer said room and board the other day to me. Like, we want the room and board look. Like, I don't know what that means. So I asked her, she knew what it meant, and it turned out well. So she's great. And then our lead logistics manager, his name is Mario. And so he just makes sure that everything goes according to plan, and that we don't scratch or damage anyone's properties, but more so just keeping the trains on schedule and efficient.
Oh, okay, great. Well, I look forward to meeting them someday.
Yeah.
Very soon. And also on your website, you had a great quote. It said, it was from National Association of Realtors. 82% of buyers, agents said staging a home made it easier for a buyer to visualize the property as a future home, which of course we both agree
right.
on that one. But tell me about what kind of statistics there are on when a homeowner stages a home versus someone that doesn't.
Sure. So it's kind of it's two things. It's you're going for a higher price and you're looking to get it sold faster. So the statistics on pricing are that it can sell up to 10% higher. And I think that is generally, you are not going to have a price reduction. So that's kind of my slogan, is home staging is cheaper than your first price reduction. So
that's good.
I mean, if you have a $400,000 single family and it costs $2,700 to stage it, I don't think that a realtor is going to say, yeah, let's drop the price by $2,700. It's probably going to be like, let's drop it by 10,000 or more.
20,
right.
A certain percentage of that, 5%. To make it pop on the MLS.
Right.
But you can make it pop with staging and sell it.
Yeah, exactly. So it's, and in terms of the speed of which, I think there's a bunch of different statistics out there. But we've noticed recently, especially in the January spring market, that a lot of them are going under contract immediately, and we're getting the furniture back within a couple weeks. So I think right now, especially in the seasonal portion where people are trying to get in front of one another before the real spring market hits, that it's a great way to get it on the market and get it sold before March, instead of waiting around and maybe having a listing that's been sitting for 60, 70, 80 days to just get it sold faster.
Yeah, that's great. So I've used virtual staging on some of my listings in the past that were vacant properties. Okay. And which is great because you're you're trying to get the buyer's eyes on these properties.
Right.
But then when they walk in, it's vacant.
Yeah.
So yes, it's a lot less expensive to do a virtual stage. But yeah, it makes more sense to have the furniture there when the buyer walks in, that it helps. I think you mentioned in one of the blogs, it helps tell a story.
Yeah.
Which I love that. That was a really great phrase in the blog.
Thanks. Yeah, we're trying to sell a lifestyle. And
A lifestyle.
the one thing I always point out, because I experienced it, but I bought a condo that was virtually staged. And I remember the spare bedroom. It was like, there's no way a bed can fit in the spare bedroom. You know, this is...
What was it, 7 by 7?
Yeah, it was tiny. And I was like, this is...
It
was manipulated.
Unfortunately. Yeah.
So maybe it worked. You know, I did buy that condo. But I think if I was married, that I don't think that the woman I was with would have been like, this is clearly not big enough, But I was just kind of a guy like, what are you going to do?
The Bachelor.
Yeah.
This will be fine.
Yeah, exactly. So that's kind of my thought process is if someone... it's going to be on the borderline. Like they are expecting it to be perfect when they come into virtual staging. If it's not, you could still lose a lot of buyers. And then you kind of just waste time as a realtor, as opposed to having it physically staged and you're really maintaining the price as well. Yes,
I agree. I love the idea that you're telling the story based on what, the furniture, right?
Yeah.
What design, or like you said, the lifestyle.
Right.
That's really great. Yeah. I think we kind of covered a lot of the information I was hoping to cover here. Is there anything that you can think of that we might have missed that you want to include?
I'm trying to think. No, I mean, I think now is a good time. I mean, it has been more of a seller's market where there's less inventory over the past 18, 24 months. But now with lower interest rates coming, that is going to probably leave a lot of people that weren't going to sell because they're 3% interest rates where they were just hunkering down.
Yes.
They're now thinking about selling. And so when it starts to shift more into a buyer's market is when you really want to invest in staging. So in the year of 2024, I think that inventory is going to pick up with just the whole interest rate scenario.
Yes,
and so
I agree.
It could be a good time to not invest in staging, but at least have someone in your arsenal for when, that first conversation comes up, or maybe you have a listing that you already went on the market and you can't get it sold and you're wondering why. It's always good to have someone in your back pocket as opposed to kind of waiting last minute and then scrambling.
Yeah, and that was one thing that I know I wanted to mention, in terms of listing agents, that it's important to have a lot of things ready when you're speaking to a seller, especially someone you don't know, right?
Yeah.
To tell them what resources, what they can use to improve the value of the home. Well, staging is valuable, right? It's valuable in that there's an upfront cost, but at the end of the day, it's more what the seller is going to net.
Right.
And they're going to net more if, they get multiple offers because the home looks beautiful because it was staged.
Right. Yeah, and that's what it's all about is it's the take-home amount. Like, what are you looking to net at closing? And if you do come into that initial listing presentation, or maybe you just get the listing, it's always good to have that conversation. If you find it's going to be challenging to sell it based on the aesthetic that you have, or maybe you take a listing that's a little bit overpriced. If you really want to sell it at that price, you're probably going to have to make sure that your marketing is top notch. And that's what staging is it's a marketing tool in your arsenal.
Yes. Yes. That's awesome. Well, besides that, on a personal note, tell me what you love about living in Chicago.
The fast food. Yeah, I eat out way too much. And
do you? Well, we have great restaurants here in Chicago.
Yeah, and I'm not even like a foodie, or I don't go to restaurants. Like
you literally do fast food.
So as I was telling you before this, that burger joint around the corner, I had that on the way. I was eating in the car on the way here. I like to try just like the hot dog places, the burger places, the Mexican restaurants. Those are kind of my three. It's like just burgers or tacos.
We have best tacos on the
I
planet.
agree.
I think.
And if you just get them, just carne asada, cilantro, and lime, and then you can judge who has the best tacos. And same with a burger. You just get a burger with everything on it. So
Well, which is your favorite Mexican restaurant?
Oh, it's well, I live in West Town, and it's the best. It's on my block. It's called La Sabrosa.
La Sabrosa. Okay.
On Ashland and Erie.
Okay.
It's the best Mexican restaurant in the world.
Okay, we're gonna go there. We're gonna go there
Yeah.
then. Yeah, that's awesome. Well, great. Thank you so much. I really appreciate you being here, Seth.
Thank you.
And thank you for all the amazing information about staging. Again, the website is idhomestaging.com. And what is the phone number that anyone who's interested in learning more about staging can reach you at?
Yeah, my personal cell and our business line is 312-532-3218. You can call or text.
Okay, wonderful. Thank you.
Thanks, Dalia.
You're welcome. Hey, thank you so much for listening today. If you're watching on YouTube, please subscribe so you can keep up with my latest episodes. You can find me on all social media platforms at Dalia the Realtor. To reach me directly, call me at 773-879-4855. I'll see you on the next episode. Make it a great day.